And also want to recognize all the participants that have made time and joined this great presentation. And I also want to recognize and appreciate you for having thought about all the men, and this also being a month where we celebrate mental wellness. Then I want to appreciate you for having considered the men. And I like engaging people when I'm facilitating sessions because I believe we are learning from each other. And if there is a psychologist in the house, then I'd call that experiential learning. So there is something that I would learn from you, and then there is something that you can learn from me. But before I proceed, please confirm that you can see my slide, Jay.
Yes, I can see.
Please confirm that it's moving.
It is.
Asante sana.
You can do the full screen now.
Okay. Please confirm that it's full screen now.
It is.
And it's moving.
Yes.
Yeah, it's important that we start together. So for the participants, feel welcome. I do want to recognize the ladies who've made time for this session. So if you are a lady and you made time, please give me a thumbs up in the chat box or a hi. You can confirm for me, Jay, if you are seeing any lady in the house.
Can see Nicole.
Oh, nice.
Yes, I can see Esther.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Nicole. And I believe the men in the house, probably you've also invited your partners, your friends, your sisters to join in and listen, because it's an open forum for all of us. But also important is for you as a man to gather as much as you can from the presentation today, because this is your session. Mostly men, we rarely get a chance to have our sessions, but I appreciate a number of organizations this month have considered men. So allow me to just jump into the topic, and we are looking at breaking the silence, men and mental health. Yes, beyond masculinity, can we be able to be vulnerable to someone else? Let's do an introspection. Is it okay to break this silence? And as a man, when I'm breaking the silence, is it okay for me to address my mental health in the process? Sometimes we break this silence in silence. What do I mean? There was a story in the Nairobian, and I believe that we have interacted with that story. And this guy who, amidst the very prominent career, him having been a CEO, he was going through a lot, only the lawyers knew. And when he became silent, that is the time that we were able to get to understand what he was going through. My hope and my desire is, even as we look at this conversation today, even as we have this conversation today, is that we are going to be challenged to break this silence, to stretch our hand as a man and reach out and say, men, I'm struggling. I need support and I need help. What are we going to be looking at today? We are looking at a holistic man. Who's this man that we desire to be? And what are the areas of our lives that will make us whole? Then some of the key dynamics and areas that I've noted are great concern to most men, and they really push men to the corner. The two items that follow there: financial health and marriage. And even marriage, we're talking about family. Then, of course, we have relationships. And relationships, I'll be very interested to look at social capital, because if we are able to utilize social capital well, then we'll be able to grow. But again, there is peer pressure and how now it can bring us down. And it will be important to finish with building resilience, because we want to normalize this conversation on breaking silence and building resilience. So, yeah, this is one image that I believe every psychologist should always start with. When you look at this wheel, how would you rate yourself? A 1 or a 10, a 1 or a 10, a 1 or a 10, from health to creativity to relationships to home environment, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. Career, maybe by now you'd have wanted to be the manager where you work, but the way you're looking at things, you're still stuck at that entry level. Or you're even struggling because you don't have a job. We are talking about people who are desiring to be managers, but for you, you've been looking for a job for the last 4-5 years. In terms of finances, you could have lost your job, you could be doing very well. So if you're doing well, you're an 8 or a 10. If you're having challenges, the maximum you can do is a 3. Spirituality, also very important. It forms components of this man we are calling whole. Then we have self-care. At times as men, I know, we tend to do so many things. We tend to juggle in the process of trying to ensure that our finances are okay, and we lose ourselves. We're having a discussion with some men the other day, and we were asking, if you go to your closet in your bedroom, how many new clothes do you have? And when was the last time you even bought a cloth? In terms of shoes, how many shoes do you have? Relative to your partner, how many clothes does she have and how many shoes? When it comes to taking care of yourself relative to her, what is the comparison? So if you feel you're doing well, then you can give yourself an 8 and above. If you're having challenges, then you can give yourself a 3 and below. I wouldn't get deep into this, but just assess that and see. When you're talking about wealth, we talk about things that help us to move forward. So are you not whole because of you're stuck somewhere? You could be having an 888 in most of these things, but you have neglected your health. Maybe you're struggling with a condition that you have refused to take medication because you're feeling, I'm too young, I'm 25, I'm 27, how can I be diagnosed with diabetes? How can I be diagnosed with paranoia or anxiety or even depression? Me, I'm not taking medication because spirituality or your religion tells you that you shouldn't take medication. If you take medication, then you are declaring that ill health on yourself. Maybe it's finances, as we saw, but I know most men struggle with spirituality. Do you have a connection and a relationship with your creator? Just join those dots and see how fast will that wheel move. Is it 120 kilometers per hour if you accelerate? Is it 20 kilometers per hour? This is a call to reflect and ask ourselves, am I slow because of the challenges that I'm going through? And the fact that I've neglected some part of my life? Or it's not that I've even neglected, I don't know how to even address this issue of finances. We are here, my brother. We are stretching your hand towards you and we are asking you to reach out. Jay has organized this because he understands that there are those of us here who are struggling in one area of our lives. And probably we don't know how to reach out. You having come to this meeting today is just an indicator that there is help and we are willing to work with you as a man. Let's look at finances. This is one, and I've been in practice for a while. And when I engage men, they tell me, Victor, if you sort us finances, if you are able to manage this thing called finances, then we will be very okay. Then I look back and tell them, have you ever sat down and budgeted, looked at your active income and looked at your expenses? And are there gaps? Are there areas that you would work on? Then I ask, how much money is enough? The other day I was talking to some guys and we were wondering, and I was challenging them to tell me. So one says 40,000, another 60,000, another 80,000. Then we start doing calculations on our expenditure. Sadly, we noted that majority of them were at negative 100,000. And at that negative 100,000, what was sustaining them are debt. And these debts, they hadn't calculated the interest that they are paying for these debts. So it became very difficult, or it becomes very difficult for a man to survive. And guess what? The more we continue living, the more our families continue growing. Maybe you're struggling and you have a wife and a child, but within a couple of years, you have another child. Automatically expenses will increase. So you will continue borrowing to sustain. And guess what? We again look at the government of Kenya and we complain about the debt that the government is taking. I'm made to understand that we are now at 13 trillion or something like that. And the other day I was just following and one presidential aspirant was saying for him when he gets into power, he will refuse and stop paying all illegal debt. Where are you in terms of debt? Do you know how to manage debt? Do you review, assess the debt, the loans and the interest that are there so that you choose the best for you, the one that has low interest rate? Then we have investments. If we have an active income that is not sustaining our lifestyle, have we ever considered investments? And I know as men, we look at things that other people are doing. And mostly we look at the low-lying fruits. We want to invest in matatu businesses. We want to invest in things like Uber. I've heard nowadays, at least we now know money market. I've heard people talk about shares since Ndinyoro started talking about shares. Some of us invest in education. I don't know where you are investing. And have we ever calculated the rate of return on investment and also the rate of return on capital? And in calculating, then are we able to look at the opportunity cost? If I invest in this, what am I losing on the other side? Which is the best alternative in this case? I was having a discussion with some guys today, and one person told me that they got a return on investment of 24%. Let's do a round off and we say that in their investment, they were making 25%, which is a quarter of the investment. So every year, if you have 100,000 in that investment, it gives you an additional of 25K. So where have you invested? Ama wewe umeweka pesa kwa biashara and you are always told to add more. It's a wines and spirits and you're selling at a loss and you're not even too sure. It's a matatu business, it's not adding up. It's a small kinyozi, then retirement. And retirement for me is very important because it's either us or we have parents who are about to transition to retirement. And I'm looking at in our parents, the male parent, the father, how ready are they for their retirement? Have you ever sat with them and considered to have this discussion with them? Are there areas that they could invest in that will help them? And guess what? Even as those of us who are employed, maybe you are 20 years, imagine 40 years will just come and you'll realize, well, it's a few years before I retire. Maybe you are 30, you have maybe 25 years or 30 years to retire. Are you preparing for that? So that by that time when you're retiring, you are having an empty nest syndrome, then you're also struggling. We'll look into that in a few. So I tell men the money that you're earning a salary is active income. You are supposed to use that active income to help you grow your passive income. And this passive income, we will see for you now for us to be financially healthy, active income should grow and make passive income more so that passive income is able to address your basic needs and also the luxuries that you desire in life. But most times we tend to find that this equation does not balance. That is why men tend to really struggle. So if you invest well your active income, then it grows your passive income. When you reinvest your passive income, then it is able to sustain you beyond the salary, and you don't have even to depend on active income. So when you're talking about budgeting, this I believe is something that most of us have heard about. So you have needs, basic needs, food, shelter, clothing, taking care of your partner, 50%, then wants. You'd want to go and have lunch with your family. You'd want to send something to your parents. You'd want to contribute to this WhatsApp for guys who are sick. Then we have savings. I don't know if we ever sit down and look at this. But then again, do we have a budget? Do we have an expense tracker? Do we know my expense? Like for me, I pay rent, you pay electricity, you pay water, you do this and this and this. Have you ever sat down and calculated so that you see this active income? Am I even saving that 20%? And if you're a religious person, a Christian, you know that a 10% is needed here. And I will be asking Esther, where and how do we classify this 10%? Do we deduct it from savings? Do we deduct it from wants? Or we deduct it from needs? Esther, be preparing for that. So guys, I've been talking for a number of minutes, and Jay, you'll help me here. This question goes to all our participants. Would you like to please answer it on the chat so that I see if you are together? Wewe pesa yako mingi inaenda wapi? Where does your money go? You can share the feedback, Jay.
Yes.
So guys, so that I know we are together, please respond to that question.
We even have ladies, so.
Yes. Oh, sorry. For Nicole and Esther and
Mm.
any other lady that has joined, please respond. Watu wenu wanapeleka pesa wapi? Where do we take money, our money?
You can see someone says rent and food. Another one says social life, sherehe. Any other?
Tuko pamoja guys.
Yeah, Bills. Bills is also an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Bills, social life, family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Loans.
Maybe one last one. Yes, loans.
Yes.
Okay, Asante. Maybe they'll just keep sharing.
We have several have talked about bills.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Jay, and thank you for all of you who've responded to that question. I wanted to now introduce us to this conversation. So we've looked at our active income, and most of the time when you look at active income, the expenditure part overrides the income part. So you tend to find that we are operating at a debt. So for us to supplement that, then we go for loans. So have we ever sat and looked at the interest rate that we are paying? I sat down and did a small research, and I noted that CBK gives a lending rate of 8.75%. But when we go to the bank, there is a risk adjustment that they add into that CBK lending rate. So the first tier banks will charge you between 15.2%, the lowest, and 16.4%. I deliberately ignored, I didn't put the specific banks because I didn't want to promote anyone or disenfranchise anyone. But for the tier 1 banks, we are talking about KCB, we are talking about Equity, and we are talking about Cooperative Bank, the ones that I reviewed. So one of them, 15.2%, the other maximum, the highest, 16.4%. Then we are looking at tier 2 banks, and tier 2 banks are NCBA Bank, Stanbic Bank, Family Bank. There are around 5 or 6 of them. CBN Bank, and you look at them, the one that is giving you loan at the most affordable rate in that category is 11.87, and the highest is 15.92. Then we go to the SACCOs, and I appreciate the SACCO so much because majority of us go there. 12.9% to 15%. Please note from those calculations, if you're keen, I hope you've noted the tier 2 bank. There is one that will give you a rate lower than what your SACCO is giving you. So when you're deciding which loan to take, please be informed that there are options. Some men were telling me the other day that for them, any loan that they find, so long as they can get money and they need money urgently, they'd go for that money. But what happens after you've been given that money? The pain of repaying and the amount of money that they are taking from that which you are earning. Then something that has become popular is this emergency loan. A salary advance here, an emergency loan here, a top-up loan. On a monthly basis, they give you between 1 to 1.5%, which when you calculate is between 12 to 18%. Again, I know them, but I wouldn't want to share here because I want to challenge us to go and do our research before we borrow money. Then the most challenging part was, sorry, I'm having issues with my eyes, my apologies. The microfinances. So the microfinances are the likes of Akina Faulu, KWFT, Caritas. Did you know that they give loans from 18% to 24%? So we've moved from a CBK rate of 8.75 to a bank somewhere that is giving you a loan at 11.87 to a microfinance that is giving you loan at 24%, meaning it is double the amount that you'd have gotten that loan in a bank. I hope, men, we are seeing where our problems start, especially when we are talking about money. The decisions that we make. And choices have consequences. If you decide to take money from a microfinance and you had an option of taking it from a SACCO or a Tier 2 bank, then that's another challenge. Then the mobile loans, and these ones, I classified them separately because of the serious impact that they have on the mental wellness of most men. And not only men, even families. This is because when a debt is borrowed, then it becomes a family problem. So if your partner borrows a loan, you knowing or not knowing, then that loan comes to the family, then it becomes a family challenge. If it was consensual and it was for a development, then did you discuss on where this loan is supposed to be borrowed? Tunajipanga tunaenda sherehe. Nimesikia maneno ya sherehe hapo NJ was mentioning. Then tunapiga drinks, bill inakam. Unaangalia balance haiwezi make. Unaangalia hawezi piga ka emergency loan cause umefika maximum. Unakumbuka ulisikia Zenka. You heard about Zenka. So you go to that app, cha. But did you know that they offer loans from 9 to 39% per month? So if you calculate that loan times 12, you're paying close to 400%. If you calculate with 40 times 12, that is 480%. KCB is there, you can see it, and the rest. So guys, if you're to take a loan, because where you are, you've not been able to supplement or you're not able to pay your bills, where would you rather take that loan? Is it from a Tier 1 bank? Is it a Tier 2 bank, a SACCO, a microfinance, or the mobile apps? But if you can prevent taking this loan, is that an option? And this, for me, brothers and sisters, is very important because we have allowed these financial entities to take us captive and to make us slaves. The same discussion that is happening in the political sphere, the IMFs, the World Banks, they have introduced us to loans until we have become their captive. So when we are having national discussions in engagements like the cost of fuel, do we know that there is a very limited stretch that the government can adjust because of some of these commitments that we've made, because we have debt that we must pay? And I keep encouraging us, let's be involved in understanding policy and in understanding and being involved even in these financial discussions and the finance bill, because they open our eyes and our minds to whatever is happening globally, whatever is happening in the country. Now, mwishowe, what is happening in your pocket? You know what, guys? If CBK raised this rate to something like 12, all these interest rates will go up. And if you had not really looked at the agreement that you signed with your bank or your lender, maybe there is a clause that when CBK rate adjusts, then sadly, your loan also adjusts. The good thing is if you're able to negotiate and CBK lowers that rate, then the loans are ideally supposed to be less. But the challenge that we've seen, and the central bank has been very deliberate in trying to push the banks. If they lower the rate, then they're supposed to lower. But I've been keen enough to follow this discussion, and the CBK rate has been like that for close to around 10, 11 months, because CBK, the committee sits, I guess, every month to review that. So what am I saying? The mental health of most of us as men is here in the debt. Our challenges, our pressures are here. So can we talk so that we break this silence and get someone to work with us? Jay is here. I know Esther supports in terms of mental wellness. I'm here. I don't know anyone else who's here who's a mental health practitioner who'd be able to work with you and you reevaluate and reorganize that debt so that even if you're going to pay it for a longer period of time, but it will put less pressure on your active income so that you're able also to manage your recurrent expenditure. So when I have these discussions, sometimes time flies, but I hope that I'll be able to help us to understand there are different investment options. I shared some, and this is important so that we are able to appreciate what is at our disposal. And also this is important because we've seen most of the time the active income is not enough. And that is why we are supposed to grow, use active income to grow passive income. And in that process, then we are able to have more disposable income to take care of our wants and any other additional expense or cost. So where do we invest in? Maybe I invite us to share that in the chat box. And Jay, I will request you to help me read some of the feedback. Ni wapi tuna invest wanaume? Thank you for willing to type. And we are learning from each other.
Vance Odhiambo, where do you invest?
Where can a man invest? Where can a man invest? Maybe wewe uko na changamoto hata unashangaa hii discussion ya investment.
We have rental properties.
Yes.
Land. We have MMF. We have Kamulu land. Then we have education and business. Lots. We have people that invest in insurance.
Maybe one last one.
Kelvin, where do you invest? Someone talks about career, investing in the career, agriculture.
Thank you guys, and thank you for your feedback. Yeah, so education, and this is very interesting. And I like the current model of education where emphasis is on skill, because there is a lot of money out here if you have mastered your skill. The other day we were looking for a plumber in Siaya County, and specifically Rarieda constituency. And it was a serious challenge. The good one that is there was so busy. Then I met this guy. He was studying civil engineering, but then again he decided to retreat to go to the rural home. He has really mastered the art of putting tiles in houses, and he charges around 100,000 as service fee. And when he comes with his team. They give you a quotation, mostly 2-bedroom house and above 100,000. If you negotiate 80,000, and he's able to do it in 2 days. So if you do a rough estimate, him deducting all his costs, he can make 20,000 per day. Education skill, if you calculate 20,000 per day times roughly 20, that is around 400,000. 400,000, and he has not paid KRA. So he has his money fixed. In Kenya, if you are to be employed formally, very few organizations will pay you that amount of money. And then you have to pay close to a third of it as tax. Another one, I'm seeing guys learning how to be DJs, and they get gigs. That is an extra passive income that you've earned. Issues of coding, there is money in coding, so you educate yourself. Data analytics is another space. An investment, a passive investment. Social capital. Do we invest in our friends? Do we make time for friends who are valuable? In that, we can take money, we can take them out, and in the process of discussing, then it can pay us back. I want us to just reflect on why the rich pay a lot of money to belong to these golf clubs. Have you ever thought about it? I know one that guys, for them to be members, they pay 1 million shillings. I know another one that guys pay 250,000 every year. And I was talking to someone and he was telling me deals are exchanged in those 18 holes. When they're walking and discussing, deals are exchanged within those spaces. Then I also reflected, guys who go to clubs, I'm told that there are other deals that are done and exchanged in these clubs. But I feel so sad for my Christian friends. How many deals do we exchange in church? Do we ever have an opportunity to get a gig in church? And at this moment, allow me to appreciate All Saints Cathedral. The other day, and I'm made to understand it's now a culture. They usually organize and ask all the church members who have businesses to bring their business to church. Then guys are able to support them. I don't know the kind of friends that you have. Can they mention your name when they're in spaces where opportunities are being mentioned? Challenge yourself with that. Then, of course, businesses. I've had guys talk about land. But remember, guys, I talked about 2 or 3 things. Return on investment, return on capital, and opportunity cost. Where you're putting your money vis-a-vis the other opportunities that are available for you. Money market fund, it's now become a bit popular. Treasury bills and bonds, stocks. Yeah, I love stocks and I am in stocks and I thank God it's been a good journey. Yeah, but I also want to tell you guys, and stocks are shares, so you come slow in this, and you also try to understand the market dynamics and the political influence and how it influences this, the CBK lending rate, the return on treasury bills and bonds, because they inversely relate to shares. Then, of course, I had someone mention rate. Yeah, and for the men in the house, don't to challenge and ask us, are our children investments or their liabilities? That is for us to answer. So the last part, when we are talking about financial wellness that I'd want us to look at, this is because maybe we have men who are just about to retire. The medical insurance, maybe when we are working, we have a medical cover, or when we are young in our 20s, we are healthy, we rarely get unwell. But you have a father at home who's battling diabetes, hypertension, probably even HIV. There are issues of cancer. Have you invested in medical cover for them so that when they retire, at least they have something that will cushion them? Then a discussion that I love nowadays on pension. On pension, I know we know mostly NSSF for those of us who are working. And when the rate was increased, I know as Kenyans, we really had issues about that. But I do want to encourage you that that is your money and it is earning interest. And when you retire, at least you'll get a better pension than those who left before it started. I'm made to understand that for a person who entered the job market at 20, and the only pension they had is NSSF, and they retired at 60, they'd probably end up with, if you calculate 200 times 12, that is 2,400 times 40 years, that is close to 480,000. You calculate a few interest, something below £1 million for 40 years. But now that we are paying a slightly more amount, then there is hope that we can get something better. Then again, in your salary, if you're paying tax, pension, there is usually a waiver up to a certain amount. That is a discussion that we can have. Maybe for you, you're not comfortable investing in these other areas, but you do want, when you retire and when you're going home, to have a nice package that you can enjoy. Then you'd want to put some extra shilling in your pension so that you live a comfortable life. I know there are other corporates who've invested for their employees in a separate pension fund, like my employer, and I thank my employer for pushing me to invest part of my money, but they've also matched or even doubled the amount of money that I'm paying. All these are investments so that by the time I'm retiring, at least I don't have to over-rely on my children or relatives to take care of me, and I've worked for a couple of years. What I have worked for is able to take care of me. Then emotional investment. Man, yeah, I know this pressure of trying to survive, trying to pay for bills, sometimes make us not to have enough time to spend with our families and our children. And when we retire, then we are left in isolation and alone and lonely. Because at work, people needed you when you were a person of influence and you'd support them. But now that you've exited the system, you're less useful. The family that you thought you were giving your best to, even for them, they are now self-sufficient. Everyone is looking at you and ignoring you. So you end up buying newspapers, all the newspapers, and your work is just to read newspapers. God forbid you become depressed, you start visiting different bars and locals so that you're able to find solace. In the process, you trip and you find that you are 60, 65 years, and you get someone who's telling you that you have a child who's 2 years or even a year, or they're pregnant for you. Yeah, let's also consider investing in our families and in our children so that when you need them, they'll be able to reinvest emotionally back to you. That time when you're sick, you're in bed, you'd have people who will come to see you and to support you. Then we have issues of social capital. Yeah, let's invest in friends who will invite us to clubs so that to golf courses, we go play, or to investments. The other day, there is a bank that was taking investors to Congo to just go and see opportunities there. Maybe that is too big for you, but do you have friends who you can, plan? On a Thursday, there is a men's meeting in church, and since you plugged in church, you are invited, and you go and discuss men's issues there. I've noted that in retirement, women tend to visit their children when they get children, when they build houses, when they graduate. Any small opportunity that they have as women to visit a child, their children, and they do it in a merry-go-round. So mostly 3 out of 4 weekends, as a man, you're left home, but they are somewhere and they are doing something. So this is just a call to all of us. We might retire anytime. And I was sharing with some guys and I was telling them, COVID changed the dynamics. And if you over-relied on work to be busy and COVID now told you needed to be home, so many men got depressed and families had a lot of conflicts. I feel so sad because we have another catastrophic agent called Ebola around. You know, if something goes wrong, then we will find ourselves in that place where we were with COVID. But I pray that we don't find ourselves there. So, brothers and sisters, I'd want us to be financially well. And in being financially well, then there are 4 levels that are very key. Financial illness is financial insecurity. You're struggling, you're not able to raise your passive income, debt are choking you. Financial security, your passive income equals your basic needs. So you're able to survive without touching your salary. Financial vitality, your passive income meets your basic needs, but also it can give you a good phone. It can afford you a holiday without you touching your salary. Financial independence. I like this. Imagine your passive income pays for your basic needs and all your luxuries. You don't need to struggle about money. Pesa iko kwa account. You even have a card. For you, you swipe. You don't use cash. Then we talk about financial freedom. Very few of us will ever be here. Passive income gives you freedom to live, to stay where you want. You can have a home in Runda. You can have a home in Spring Valley. You can have a home in Karen. You even have a home in Miami and Dubai. You just decide what you want to do with your money. But even as we aspire this, let's not do it at the expense of our families. For me, there is a game changer. And my game changer was this book by Tony Robbins. And I'd find myself reading this book at 3 a.m. because of the insights that it was giving me. And the title is Money, Master the Game. Do you understand money? Do you have a good relationship with money? And do you know how to use money to make money? That is the book. So for those who like reading, I'd challenge you to look for this book, read it. I hope you will find it as enjoyable as I did. And I wish you well in that journey of understanding money and having a good relationship with money. How do we relate with money? In the interest of time, allow me to just now skim through. Yeah, we pay basic needs, and those are the basic needs, and mostly they will influence how we spend our money. Psychological needs, the kind of phone you have. Why do you have that phone? Why do you drive that vehicle that you're driving? Why do you live? What makes you live within the neighborhood that you're living? You'll find someone who's very comfortable staying in a specific locality, but because they've gotten an additional income or their passive income has grown, they want to move and pay 20, 30,000 more. Is it necessary? Then self-actualization, and for me, I love this, living beyond yourself. Are you able to empower other men to be financially secure so that their level of mental health goes down? Are you able to extend a hand and tell a man, let's break that silence, bro. Let's break that silence, brother, and talk about this issue called money and the challenges that we are going through. Yeah, thank you. The first part was just about money, briefly. And I love this because it's also an area that really stresses most men. But I invite us to just look at that. You know, if we are able to plan or to bring together all those circles, we'll have one beautiful circle. But because life has so many things and so many challenges that men go through, issues of communication in relationships, you're having something we call non-isomorphic attributions. You're saying this, but your partner is understanding it in the opposite way. So you just choose to keep quiet because you wouldn't want to have conflicts. In terms of conflict management, do you retreat? Do you challenge? Do you arbitrate? How do you handle your conflicts within the family? Personality types. Yeah, is it a choleric versus a choleric, and now the personalities are clashing? Or is it a sanguine versus a sanguine? Do you feel that you are a phlegmatic and your person is a sanguine and it is always their way or the highway as a man? Could it be that one of you is battling a personality disorder? Maybe it's paranoia, maybe it's histrionic, maybe it's what the ladies call us as men, narcissists. Or could it be it's the lady who's having a histrionic personality or dependent personality trait, or even OCD, cluster C, obsessive compulsive disorder, that really triggers so many conflicts that you guys are battling at home? Attachment styles, emotional connection. Yeah. And when we're talking about emotional connection, this comes from the parenting style that was used on them. And you find some of us we are very secure, emotionally we are stable. So if two stable people find themselves in a relationship, then that relationship works well, the marriage is stable, and they're able to parent well. But my experience and having been in this practice for a while, I've noted that around 80% of us have insecure attachment. And insecure attachment, we are saying either you are having an anxious attachment style, you are overly dependent on your partner or overly concerned, or you have mistrust issues. So when you are in a relationship, you are so controlling and you want to be enmeshed, you want to be in their space. And it becomes so sad when you find someone who's now the second insecure attachment style, avoidant. For them, they feel suffocated in that environment. Then we have those of us who are insecurely disorganized. Sometimes they're very okay, sometimes they are not okay. And these attachment styles, as I had said, is influenced by parenting styles, and now the attachment styles influences personality types and personality traits. Maybe when we have time, another time we can go deeper so that I help us and we help each other understand how something like anxiety, insecure, anxious attachment style will cause dependent, cluster C, dependent. It can even cause cluster B, histrionic personality disorder traits. So for parenting, as a father, are you the one who's left to discipline, or you are the one who leaves your partner to discipline? And will that breed conflict in the family? But as the head of the family, are you even there to support in terms of parenting? Or you are not there, then this child becomes a teenager, they start becoming a thorn in the flesh, then hapo sasa ndio the mother looks at you and tells you, this is your child, it is also your responsibility, now take over. Then of course the love languages, do we understand them? And can we maximize them? Or you are loving your partner, your girlfriend, if you are young, your wife, in the wrong way. Probably they'd want to be loved in a different way. And for the men in the house, or is it that you're being loved the wrong way? Yeah, then of course we have finances that I wouldn't want to belabor on. So improving our relationships is very important. And we can only improve our relationships if we are emotionally intelligent. And this diagram is now important because it helps us to become emotionally intelligent so that we are able to improve the relationships that we have. Understand yourself, self-awareness. You have strengths, you have weaknesses. Do you know them? You have threats that limit you and the opportunities that you'd maximize on to grow. Are you aware? I'd invite us to just review Johari's window so that it expands our understanding of ourselves. When you are angry, how do you act? I had another client who was telling me that sometimes when they are angry, they really break things in the house. They can even hit their phone on the wall. But now after, when they become sober, they realize, well, that is a 40, 50,000 phone that is broken. Probably our children have also learned from us that when you are angry, this is the way you behave. I challenge us to be aware. And when you're aware, you can always reach out. Let's break that silence. Are we able to regulate our emotions? Are we able to, maybe when you have money, you go out for drinking? Yeah, you are overjoyed. Wewe ndio sasa kiongozi. Unanunulia kila mtu. By the time you're leaving that club, you are negative 40,000. And your salary is 50,000. Yeah, sometimes when we are happy, there are decisions that we make that are not rational. So let's also learn to self-regulate. But if you are struggling, let's break the silence. What motivates you? And when we are looking at this, I take us to that triangle. Is it provision of basic needs? Is it provision of security? Is it peer pressure because your circle wants you to be in a certain level? Is it low self-esteem, and to cover it, you want to buy clothes from this space, you want to buy a particular phone so that people admire you? What exactly makes you to behave the way you behave? What motivates you? It's also important to be kind to others and understand others. The same way you're struggling with something, someone else will be struggling also with something. So let's try and see how we can be able to support each other. Then, of course, when you understand yourself and you understand the other person, when you understand what motivates you and you are kind to the other person, then automatically it will improve our interpersonal relationships. When it improves our interpersonal relationships, then it helps improve our social capital. If our social capital improves, then we are able to improve our financial standing because we are able to get opportunities and we are able to be aligned with opportunities. As I come to the end of my presentation, we'd want to know, how do we then build resilience? One simple way is to understand ourselves. And in understanding ourselves, then we have Johari's window, which is key in helping us to understand ourselves. So there are things that we know about you, like Jay is called Jay Olemba, and he is tall, and he has a bald, shaved head today. There are things that it's us who know about him, but he does not know. Like I attended a presentation yesterday, and the presenter kept saying, especially. Probably she does not know that that is her word. Today I've been making a presentation. I don't know which word I have really used or overused in the presentation. Then there are those things that it's only Jay who knows. And he decided to hide them from us because they are weaknesses and they are threats. And then there are those things that we all don't know. Jay doesn't know and we don't know. So it is important that we open this window, and I like that it has been opened for us, because the more we understand ourselves and the more others understand us, then it's able to take us to this circle. We increase our self-awareness. Then from that, because of the feedback that we get, then we learn how to self-regulate. And through that, if we understand others, then we are able to be empathetic. Maybe Martin is behaving the way they're behaving because they've lost a child or they've lost a job. Maybe Martin is not picking their call because they've lost a job. So as a man, what can I do? There is a job here. Can I support them? Can I link them? Can I refer them? When you link Martin to that job, then of course you improve the interpersonal relationship. Then he goes on to become a senior person in that organization, and you take them on to them, and they're able to help them to get employment. So you improve your circle. What am I saying? To build resilience, we must also be our brother's keeper. Offer feedback in a gentle but kind way so that you open and you limit the blind spots. For those things that you feel that you're not comfortable sharing with others, come to therapy. It is a confidential space and we are bound for it to remain that so that we are able to support you. If you're struggling and it's a journey that you're struggling, come, let's work together so that we see how we can work together. If it's an unknown sport and you want to open, challenge yourself, go out there, try different things. Like now I joined a choir. So I'm trying to see. Initially, when I was young, I was in college, I tried singing tenor, but I'm realizing I could sing bass and I am enjoying singing bass. And it's now therapeutic for me. I know every Thursday at work there is practice, so I'll go and sing and I'll feel good. So I invite you to find things that will help you to know yourself better, because now once you know yourself, then you'll be able to break the silence and you'll reach out. So asanteni sana kwa kunisikiza. If you're looking for me, you can find me through Jay. But if you want to find me direct, you can use and dial those contacts. Yeah, you can even see what we do out there when you type that name on Google. Yeah, I've been talking. So please answer for me that. And Jay, I will be inviting you to share the aha moments. And if there is any question, I'll be more than glad to answer those questions. Thank you guys for your time and for your patience.
Wow, that was a amazing and insightful presentation. I think we can react to appreciate our speaker. We can react by clapping. Yes, thank you so much. We have, I think can see a few questions here. One wants you to share your number. I think, Kevin, you've been able to get his number? If not, I'll be sharing his number. Great presentation by Eddie. Thank you so much. Thank you. I think anyone with a question? Esther, you had an assignment. Are you there? Takeaways for Cecilia Ngugi: self-awareness, emptions, intelligence, self-regulations. Thank you, Cecilia. Anyone with a question? Someone has asked, is Forex trading an investment? Victor, there's a question there. This was a beneficial one. Incredible. This is the first time Denise is joining us. Thank you so much, Denise. Karibu.
Thank you. Forex. It's an interesting question. But I tend to classify it as gambling more than an investment. Though all these investments and businesses are also gambling because we are trying. But the risk is higher in Forex, and my experience, I've seen so many people lose more than they gain. And it's also very addictive. Na ni kama ile ndege, kuna ndege ingine je watu wanashika, inaitwa aje ile ndege?
Aviator.
So hiyo, there is that thing called aviator, and it's really killing our men because they are
Yes.
chasing to be a pilot instead of studying. For them, they want to bet to be a pilot.
Yeah.
So Forex is like that. So I'd urge guys to consider safe investment options, and unless they have the threshold to really lose a lot of money. Thank you for that
Asante
question.
sana. Think is it possible to have him share the notes? Charles will be sharing, will be uploading this on our YouTube channel, so you can be able to check it. I think Samson, your question has been answered from the previous response, where you're asking is forex real? I think it's just it's more of betting, betting like sort of thing. That is what the speaker said. And I can see there are no more questions unless anyone has.
Jay, I had asked Esther a question.
Yes.
Is 10% a need, a want, or it's called what? A need, a want, or a what? A need, a want, or yeah. Maybe she can answer. She can answer that if you allow.
Esther, you're there? Esther might be in the kitchen.
Thank you. I'll follow up with her.
And maybe from the participants, uh, I can see she responded on my chat. She said that we paid from the gross. So hajasema kama ni need, want. Yeah. Denise, our YouTube channel is called JCVs. I think I'll be sharing the link here. So, Skylar, are you there? Skylar, are you there? Shayla? Skylar, Shayla?